What's going on? It's your counselor, Polly Rob. Welcome to another episode of the Polly Rob podcast. I appreciate everybody showing love. Make sure you like and subscribe, and all the information on how to support my channel is right here down below. Really quick, let's give a big shout out to my last 5 subscribers on my channel. Let's give a shout out to them. We appreciate y'all. Let's get right into it. Now, there's been a couple of albums coming out in 2026 that has really kind of shaped how 2026 is going. I mean, last year we had a bunch of stellar albums, phenomenal albums. 2026, we could do better. We could do better. Now, in light of that, I will say that we are appreciative as hip hop fans and, content creators and producers and rappers. We are proud that there's actual music coming out because, in some years we'll get starved out from our favorite artists, but they're dropping music. You know what I mean? We got the Drake album, you know what I'm saying? You can see my reviews on the Drake album. We got the Future album, you know what I'm saying? Which was, another, spectacle for sure. We got 21 Savage, we got so many different albums, and now we are at Rick Ross dropping his album. You know what I'm saying? Rick Ross dropped his latest album, Set in Stone. You know what I mean? It's about 20 records or so. You know what I mean? And the streets is in a hoopla. The internet is in a hoopla about whether this album lives up to the hype of what Rick Ross can do. You know what I mean? So let's talk about that. One thing I will say is Rick Ross is probably one of the best. He has one of the best album catalogs ever in hip hop history. I'm going to say it again. Rick Ross has one of the best album catalogs in hip hop history. From his first album all the way to now, Rick Ross makes great records. He makes phenomenal records. He has different approaches to how he makes his music, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But his lyricism is elite. He is one of the elite rappers, for sure. His deep voice, along with pure street elements in his music, lyricism, the hooks are money, the approach to doing features is fire. He got some of the best features. He's been on some of the dopest records that we can attest to in our hip hop community. We know what the biggest boss can deliver to the table. We know what he could deliver. From Teflon Don to God Forgives, I Don't, Port of Miami 1 and 2. There's a bunch of albums. I'm talking about collectively. When you make an album, it's not just about making songs. It's about cohesively putting this album together to make a statement. And the statement is usually the title of the album. That's the initial statement. When he did God Forgives, I Don't, there was a lot of records where he questioned the motives and the moves of the people he was around, or questioned the beefs that he was in, the situations that he put himself in, that others put him in. Port of Miami, when that album first dropped, his debut album, Port of Miami, when that dropped, it was about the entire lifestyle of what Miami brings. He brought, when you put on those headphones, you got to listen to Miami. That's what that album is about. From the street life to the yacht life to the drugs, the girls, the partying. That's what that album was about. There's so many other albums that I could talk about because I ain't gonna lie, I got a Rick Ross playlist. And it's probably about 4 or 5 records each album that's on that playlist. So when I get in my bag where I'm getting my hustle on and working hard and doing what I gotta do, I'll put on Rick Ross. I'll put on Tears of Joy. I'll put on Nobody. You're Nobody. Rest in peace, Biggie. But Rick Ross redid it. It was fire with French Montana. Shout outs. I put on so many different records from Rick Ross' catalog because don't act like he not that. Don't act like he not that. I think I'm Big Meech. Larry Hoover. Whipping Work. Hallelujah. You know what that is? You know what that is? Don't act like he's not that. But then we get to this album, Set in Stone. And there's a lot of conversation about, did Rick Ross fall off? Is he paying attention to doing more content and doing more antics than he is in his craft of music? What is he doing? Is he really staying focused to what is supposed to be his number one love, which is the music? The one thing we know for sure is that when Rick Ross dropped an album, I'll just say up until this point, because there's banter going on. But up until this point, at any given time, if we needed some good music, Rick Ross was going to deliver. He was going to do a couple of things, and I'll explain what that is. He was going to give you a street trap anthem on the album. That's one thing he's going to do. He's going to give you a street trap anthem every single album. Every single album. That record is going to resonate for the streets. It's not for the clubs. It's for the streets. It's for the ones on the block. It's for the ones that's really trying to get money. Number 2, he's going to give you some of the lavish life. He's going to give you a record that's about the luxury and the lavish life and the good energy. He's going to do that. Because a part of Rick Ross's moniker of who he is, his style, his image is about going from the streets to seeing things and doing things in a luxurious fashion. Some of my best records that I ride to in the car is Rick Ross records because it's motivational. It's inspirational. It gets you up. It gets you wanting to go do what you need to do to make as much money and as much progress as you possibly can. That's what his music does. Number 3, he's going to always give you a Maybach Music song series. Every album is a Maybach Music 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many it's going to go. He's going to give you a Maybach Music record. He's going to do that. And it's going to be a fire feature on there. The feature is going to be fire. You think it's not? You think it's not? It's going to be fire. His company is Maybach Music. That's what it is. So he's going to always give you one of those song series records that you could just tune into. And he's going to have somebody that's high on the star power level. And they're going to rap that fly, luxurious energy. It's going to be produced heavily to the T. Exactly what you need. He's going to give you that. Those 3 elements, he's going to do for sure. He's going to give you a trap street anthem. He's going to talk about the luxurious life and the road to it, and he's going to give you a Maybach Music record. How many I think he's up to like Maybach Music, what, 9, 10? I forgot. I don't. Let me know in the comments how many Maybach Music songs he's done so far. So we know what to expect when we're getting a Rick Ross album. The question is, did we get that on this go round? The album's set in stone. I listened to it about 2 or 3 times, 3 times actually, in full. The album's set in stone. It starts off strong. The energy is where it's at, and I'm pulling up the songs so I can tell you which ones I like. The intro was fire. It's a little bit too long without any elements of words or anything. He should have had somebody singing on it, but the intro's still fire to me. The intro was called Caviar Bumps. Then he goes into mahogany caskets and Minks in Miami. Those 2 records is fire. He starts off the album strong. It starts off strong. The record with T.I. is dope. T.I. gets off. Then the French Montana and the Max B record is a fire record. It starts off strong. But then it starts to slow down on the next couple records. It's not until, to be honest with you, it's not until like record 7 when he gets back to Maybach Music. And this looks like it's Maybach Music 7. I could be wrong. Maybach Music 7. With Don Toliver and Jeezy. It's not until it gets around there where it starts to get good again. Because the records before that is, I see what he's doing. He's trying to make a party record or trying to get people, to have some up-tempo music. He's trying to give them that. But it just kind of doesn't work. It doesn't work in his favor, to be honest with you. It doesn't work in his favor. Then as we go through the project, he got records with Big X the Plug. He got a couple records by itself. The Purple Fentanyl is a pretty cool record. It's pretty cool. Up until this point, up until record 9, I'm like, okay, it's not bad. He got some records that you can add to your playlist on a Rick Ross playlist for sure. It's not that bad. But then when he gets to like record 10 to like 14, I'm like, what is he doing? Because these records don't sound like what a Ross album would sound like. They're not horrible. They just don't sound like what a Ross album would sound like. The lyrics are there. The one thing I can say is the entire album, the lyrics are there. Ross got the lyrics. That's never going to stray away. But I feel like the song structure and the construct of this Set in Stone album, I feel like it was too many songs. And I feel like it was a lot of songs that just kind of missed. I understand the approach. There was a different types of approach of upbeat records, but it just didn't catch for me. Let me know in the comments which records that y'all like from this project. It didn't catch for me. It's not until we get back to Big Fish number 15 and I'm like, okay, we got another one. We got another dope record. The Big Fish record with Gucci Mane, fire. That one fire. And it made me think like, man, I wish Rick Ross and Gucci Mane should do more records. They should do more records. The Diamonds Never Die was a pretty cool record. That was pretty cool. And then The Algorithm was the last record out, which is the last record on the project, but that's the last record that I actually liked. So in my opinion, out of 19 joints, I actually liked like 11 11, 12 records I liked. In my opinion, it's not a bad album, but it's a bad album to Rick Ross standards. In Rick Ross standards, it's a bad album. So I understand people for that for sure. By Rick Ross album standards, it's a bad album. I agree with that. But this is what I will say, and y'all gonna be mad at me for this. Trust me, I am not trying to troll. This is my honest opinion. Y'all want to argue with me in the comments? I'm with that. In my opinion, this Rick Ross Set in Stone is better than Drake Iceman. Rick Ross Set in Stone, in my opinion, has more better records than Drake Iceman. I think a lot of the lyrics are better. I think the beat selections are better. The mid-tempo beat selections, I think they're better. I think the song structures are better, aside from Iceman probably having 2 or 3 records that are overall better than Rick Ross. You know, Rick Ross's records. But still, I think Rick Ross' album is better than Iceman. I gotta be honest. There's only about 5 to 6 records on Iceman that's actually dope, in my opinion. I mean, yes, Iceman still made #1. Iceman still did his numbers. Drake still did his thing. I'm not knocking that because I like Drake's music. The records that I like them. But still, if we're comparing Rick Ross Set in Stone and we're comparing Drake's Iceman, I'm picking Rick Ross Set in Stone. Gotta be honest. Gotta be honest. I like the features better. I like the beats better. I like the lyrics and the approach better. I just gotta be honest, bro. In my opinion, and y'all might be mad at me for this one too, but I gotta be real. Rick Ross Set in Stone is better than Future's The Real Me. Set in Stone is better than The Real Me. I'm sorry. It's real. I'm sorry. Rick Ross Set in Stone is a better complete album than The Real Me. With Future The Real Me, I don't know where he was going. And Future is a phenomenal artist, man. He is a phenomenal artist, but I don't know where he was going with this album. I don't know where he was going. He wasn't vulnerable enough for me. He wasn't vulnerable enough for me. Sorry. In my opinion, I think Rick Ross Set in Stone is better than Iceman and better than Future's The Real Me. I'm still knocking Rick Ross based on his album standards that this is one of his worst albums. I agree with that, but I got to be honest, it's still better than those. Now, the sales. I mean, people are saying that he sold like about 19 to 20,000 or so first week. Let me say this one thing. Everybody's not a first week album seller. Everybody's not a first week album seller, especially Rick Ross albums are not first week album sellers. He probably got that for probably one or 2 albums, at the most 3. But these albums got to grow on you. Rick Ross got to drop at least 2 to 3 singles for you to even figure out if the album is dope. He releases a couple of records before you can officially get it. He's not a first week album seller, so that doesn't sway me from listening to the album. I'm still going to listen to it. I'm still going to take the records that I like, and I'm going to add it to my playlist, and I'm going to enjoy them. Does that take away from Rick Ross and his artistry as a whole? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Does that take away from Future? Absolutely not. Does that take away from Drake? Absolutely not. I'm just talking about the recent albums that they put out. And maybe it's something in the water, but I don't know. They can't get right. All I'm saying is these artists, and especially since we're talking about Rick Ross, he needs to have some level of new energy to get back at this music. I think Rick Ross is comfortable. I think he's comfortable being the biggest boss. He's comfortable with his Wingstop franchises. He's comfortable with his house. He's comfortable with his cars. He's comfortable with where he is. There is no Port of Miami hunger. It's not there no more. The hunger he had when he was first coming into the game, it's not there no more. He needs to develop that. If he wants to continue to make great albums, because this is not a great album. It's an okay album. It's not a great album. He needs to find his hunger. He needs to find his why again. Why are you doing this music? Because you don't have to give us no more albums. You gave us damn near over 10. You don't have to give us no more. But if you decide to give us music, new music, ask yourself, Rick Ross, ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Because we only want to hear the music that excites you, that gets you amped. Yes, we heard the couple of clips that you put up. You got to give the album a chance. We heard you say that. I did. I gave the album a chance. It's still a cool album. But you got to give yourself a chance to continue and find your hunger again. Because we waiting on it. We definitely waiting on it. But you got to do it. You got to put that music out the way we know you know how to. Last thing I'll say is, before I get out of here, at the end of the day, we hold our great artists to a high standard because that's what they've been giving us. I'm sorry. We're spoiled. You gave us high value music. We're going to expect high value music. So don't get mad at us when we say this ain't it. Don't get mad at us when we say it was cool, but it wasn't what we wanted. All we ask y'all to do is dig deeper, go back in, and go cook up some more. And as a producer, as a sound designer, that's exactly what I do. If it's something that, the fans say, hey, if this is not living up to what you've done in the past, I'm going to go back in that lab and I'm going to go harder and harder and harder. Because we got to give the people what they want. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Let me know what y'all think about this album. Let me know what y'all think about this whole blog. I appreciate y'all. You already know we're going to keep this thing rolling. Let's keep the conversation of hip-hop going. Workload.